Wrestling fans, it's another edition of the Limitless Wrestling Podcast coming to your ears wherever you listen to it. Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, in your head, imaginary. I don't care where you listen to it. All we care about is that you are listening to it. John Alba here with the czar of Limitless Wrestling, Randy Carver. What's cooking, Randy?
What's going on, man? I am preparing myself to be on the Off the Hop Rope podcast this week with a good friend, Top Shelf Troy Nelson. I'm not a beer guy, so I am hunting down whatever they need me to drink on that show, and I'm inevitably going to hate it, but that's pretty much what my day has been. Otherwise, getting some Pandemic at the Dojo stuff ready, clipping together some new content, and that's probably going to be my answer for the next few weeks now. Who knows how long?
Well,
how are you doing?
This is an episode of Ask Limitless, so what's your drink of choice then?
Twisted tea. That's not going to earn me too many fans. No. I love Twisted tea.
Look, I like Twisted tea too. Is it my drink of choice? No, but
I'm not a big. I'm not a big drinker. Like I it's in the summertime. Like it's more enjoyable. Like if I'm by a campfire, I'll have a drink or two. But like,
I get it.
I'm not drinking too much. I drink Arizona iced tea actually more than anything. But if I'm drinking some kind of beer of anything, my favorites are raspberry Twisted tea.
Okay, I can respect that.
What's yours? Where are you going with this?
Sea Dog has a really good raspberry beer.
Okay, I would try that. I like anything that's like a raspberry beer, to be honest.
My drink of choice, I can't drink beer as much as I used to be able to because I have severe reflux, but when I can drink a beer, it's usually like a Sam Summer, and when I'm not drinking beer, it's probably a whiskey ginger ale or love me a good high-quality tequila margarita. So,
yes. I'd love to see John Alba after a few of those.
Have I not shown you the video of my last week at Adam Bangor? Alexander Lee definitely saw me my last week in Adam Bangor, and I was probably about 13 drinks in. There's a video that exists that if it went out publicly would ruin my career. So
that's amazing. We'll have to share it for the podcast.
I'm not going to put that in your hands by any means. But yeah, man, I mean, it's just another week of trying to find sports stories when there's no sports going on. So, But we're recording this right before the Michael Jordan documentary is about to drop, so I'm excited for that. Any sense of new sports is good for me. But we did drop Pandemic at the Dojo episode 3 this week, and God, what a crazy turn of events! Did you watch the episode, Randy? It was
I did watch the episode, John. Yeah,
it was crazy. What a swerve start, huh?
Yeah, definitely a start that I don't think a lot of people were anticipating. But we got John Alba weaseled into an episode here of Pandemic at the Dojo, kind of, sort of a Limitless Wrestling return, I'd say.
Yeah, well, as someone reminded me on Twitter, this was all you're doing because you had to lift the ban, which I guess you did because I slithered my way in there.
I don't know if I completely lifted the ban, but you did make an appearance on a Limitless Wrestling mini-series. Yeah, we can say that.
Okay, well.
And how'd your boy do? Mac Daniels kicked off the episode.
Well, you threw him in the ring with Colossal Mike Law, and not only did you throw him in the ring with Colossal Mike Law, you threw him in the ring with Eric Greenleaf!
I mean, he is a professional wrestling referee for Limitless Wrestling.
What part of professional is Eric Greenleaf?
Which guy do you want out of the bunch? You've got him, Dickie Christmas, or Matt Bruce there. Who's your choice? I bet you don't even know who Matt Bruce is.
Can we call in Tony P?
Yeah, sure. That's your boy, Tony?
I just trust him more than I trust Eric Greenleaf.
No love for Kevin Quinn? No love for Joey Gleitz?
You know who I want? I want Squishy.
Oh, Squishy, dude. Yeah. I miss Squishy. I haven't seen him in forever.
Can we get Squishy?
Yeah, Squishy's a referee in the maritime wrestling scene. He helps out with Kaizen Pro Wrestling along with Covey Christ, good friends of ours. Friends of the show, I believe. I think they listen.
All right, well, Squishy, if you're out there, I want to see you whenever this next set of Limitless tapings goes down, okay? Let's make it happen. But yeah, man, good episode. For sure. Have we checked in on Kennedy Copeland? Is she alive?
Kennedy is alive. She is well. Took a beating from the Prize City OG Alec Price in the main event. We actually just dropped that one on youtube.com/limitless wrestling if you haven't seen it. But What a battle, man. Kennedy Copeland goes into these tapings and just continues to earn her stripes here in Limitless Wrestling. And that's definitely one I talked to both of them. I'd love to run that back on a live show at some point, whether it's Limitless or Let's Wrestle. Really, really fun episode on episode 3. We've got episode 4, of course, coming up this Tuesday, streaming 6:30 p.m. on independentwrestling.tv. If you don't have an account, sign up using the promo code Limitless. That gets you a 5-day free trial, and that's not just for Limitless content. You can surf through this thing. They've got Zone of 23, Game Changer Wrestling, Beyond Wrestling, AIW. Really, any major independent promotion you can think of in the United States is there, as well as Canada. Ethan Page's Alpha One, C4 Wrestling, and it's pretty cool. I mean, you can search up your favorites like the Main State Posse and see matches of theirs from other promotions. Really good site. They just got a free Roku channel as well, so you can download that. Watch live with us at 6:30. We'll be live tweeting throughout the night on Tuesday, and some really fun matchups coming your way. Number 1 contenders match: Iron Rip Bison versus the Dark Horse DL Hurst. You excited for this one?
I am, and I know you're super excited for that. You obviously know I'm a big DL Hurst fan, and Rip Bison's been making some noise lately.
He has. Anyone who's been paying attention pretty hard to the YouTube has kind of seen the transformation of Rip Bison from Tomahawk over the past year, and he's really reinvented himself. It's a whole new feel, and it's something that I think he's really vibing with for the first time in his career, character-wise. So, really fun match there. We got tag team action. Waves and Curls make their return for the second straight week, going up against Love Doug and Armani Chaos. We get the debut of Nick Stapp going one-on-one with the insane Dick Lane. Much more as well. We've only got a couple episodes left, and if you want to catch up again, you can use the code Limitless. All the previous episodes are up on there. They're also all on youtube.com/Limitless Wrestling. Singular matches up for free if you prefer to watch that way. So hope to see you tuning in on Tuesday.
Out what is in store for episode 4, and I'm really excited for that main event. I think they're going to tear it down. So looking forward to seeing what's there. Look, I'd love to see DL Hurst and AG go at it. You know, there's a story there, obviously. And
there is. I mean, DL, truthfully, probably wouldn't have had the number of opportunities that he had early on in Limitless Wrestling without Anthony Green.
So he made the most of those opportunities, and I'm excited to see what he has in store for that match there with your boy Rip Bison. But that's coming up on episode 4. Right now, it's Ask Limitless. We asked you to ask the questions, and we are going to give you the answers. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
Let's do it. Alan asks, who was a name that you were surprised to actually be able to book?
Honestly, when this question was posed, my head originally went to Chris Hero and Zack Sabre Jr. I don't think I can pick one.
By the way, you might be able to book Chris Hero again sometime soon.
I know. I'm bummed about him, losing his job there, but I do hope that means that we'll see Chris Hero back on the independent scene, because what an addition to the locker room, what an addition to any card. I think one of the best professional wrestlers in the world, and very early on in the time frame of Limitless Wrestling, we were able to book that match of Chris Hero versus Zack Sabre Jr.
He was ahead of his time in Limitless, for sure. Who would you like to see him mix it up with in Limitless these days?
Oh, good question. I think him and Daniel Garcia would be a hoot. I think that would be very fun. Chris Hero, Anthony Green makes a ton of sense as well. Anthony being the Limitless Wrestling World Champion. I think that would be a very fun collision. I also think Chris Hero, Chris Statlander would be a very interesting competition. Chris Hero, a lot more agile than people like to give him credit for. So I think him against the Galaxy's greatest alien, someone who moves around like a human gymnastic. I think that would be a very fun collision. And Chris I think Chris really meshes well with a lot of people, and Chris Hero would be one of those people.
You talk about your boy calling his shot all the time. How about Alec Price and Chris Hero?
I don't know,
Chris
man.
Hero,
Alec Price.
Chris Hero.
He does like to bite off more than he can chew.
And Chris Hero would have quite a lesson to teach. I think that would be a lot of fun as well. I like that answer. We have Connor asking, what was a dumb angle and/or match that you absolutely got into as a young fan? I'm excited to hear your answer here.
This one was tough because I honestly, like I paid more attention to the local independent scene.
You can pick
than
those too. I'm fine with you picking those because there's definitely some dumb angles that
I loved when local wrestler Johnny Primer was Jonathan Alexander Primer, the head of Primer Incorporated at the time. I believe he went headfirst into a pole so hard that he forgot who he was. Later in the show, Primer comes back in fucking black and white boas and like kind of rip off NWO stuff as Johnny Wood Hogan. And he has a goddamn run as Johnny Wood Hogan, won the IWE Twin Cities Championship. And then I think the same thing happened again. And I guess that's just how he just changed characters. But I thought that was hilarious as a youngster. And now
I'm going to give you one. I don't even know. You might not have even been alive for this. Or if you were alive, you were maybe just born. I want to say it was 1998, might have been 99, the Kennel from Hell feud between...
Okay.
So, are you familiar with this?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you are. So, for our listeners who may not necessarily be all that familiar with this, it was Unforgiven, Al Snow and the Big Boss Man. Unforgiven 99, September 99. Al Snow and the Big Boss Man were feuding over Al Snow's dog Pepper, which Big Boss Man cooked into chili. And they had a Hell in a Cell match. It was only the second ever Hell in a Cell match. The second ever Hell in a Cell match. Or actually, it would have been the third because they had one at WrestleMania between Big Boss Man and Undertaker. The third Hell in a Cell match. Oh, no, fourth. Sorry. You get my point here. Involved dogs locked in the cell with Al Snow and the Big Boss Man. And the dogs were supposed to be these rabid, like Rottweilers who were going to attack at any moment's notice. But in actuality, they all ended up like humping each other and pissing in the cage.
Yeah, I was gonna say, wasn't it a fecal fiasco there?
And they were all crapping all over the place.
Oh my god, what a mess!
And poor Jim Ross, to his credit, did all he could to sell this thing. They unleashed the hounds at the end of this, and like none of them actually go after. One of them does, and he's like, "Yeah, get him, get him, get him out there."
That's such a hard situation.
As a kid, I'm like, "This is awesome," and now watching back, I'm like, "What the hell did I find fascinating about this?" Maybe just
you know what? I got one more for you too.
Okay. All right.
That really like. I don't know. Looking back at it now, it does feel kind of dumb, but like I liked the match as a youngster. The King of the Mountain match in TNA. When I was younger, I'm like, fuck, this is exhilarating. Like I don't know who's gonna hang.
Don't tell me you like the reverse battle royal too.
No, I didn't like that, and I still do not. But like when I was young, I got hyped whenever they do a King of the Mountain match. Like I'm like, ooh, it's really gonna get mixed up now. Anybody could take it.
I think the reverse battle royal might be the single stupidest mainstream gimmick idea match out there.
I've seen one live before.
I'm sure it sucked.
It was not good.
Alex asks, thoughts on Danger Kid's questionable eating habits. Now, do you know where this tweet comes from, or this question comes from?
It probably stems from Danger Kid's Twitter feed.
Yes. So, Danger Kid posted a tweet this past week that featured, and I can try to find it if you would like me to.
Go right ahead.
It featured a picture, and I know there have been others, but there was one this week that really took off here. And it was what appeared to be buffalo chicken mac and cheese, which, like, you hear that and you're like, okay, that's cool, right? Like, that's great.
Yeah, it's delicious.
But when Danger Kid makes this, Danger Kid, here's the tweet. The world is a scary place right now, but at least I'm having a banging Easter dinner at the end of a long day of essential working. Blueberry buffalo chicken mac and cheese. This looks like you took like blue Nickelodeon slime, put it on some uncooked penne pasta, and you just took some unseasoned chicken and colored it red with a crayon. I'm sorry, Danger Kid, but that's what it looks like. And not only does it look bad, but what? Blueberry? Mac and cheese? I know you Mainers love blueberries, but are you kidding me?
I think he's got something here.
Oh, get out
here's
of
the
here.
thing. Hear me out.
You probably think Cityside Restaurant has delicious food, don't you?
I fucking love Cityside Restaurant. Throw no shade at Cityside Restaurant.
I'm just joking.
One of the best professional wrestling venues, hands down, and that's only because of the chicken parm.
I'm just joking.
Danger Kid could have himself a hit web show here.
Oh,
who needs Guy Fieri and the fucking people on True TV eating all the food? Like, he can make these wild ass fucking dishes and be this pro wrestler who eats the wackiest food in America.
Well, then he made Nutella spaghetti.
All right, if you're trying one or the other, though, which one is it going to be?
Probably Nutella spaghetti.
Me too. I just do not trust that I would not throw up the blueberry concoction, and that's no shade on the heel heat hot sauce, blueberry hot sauce, because that's delicious. But I don't know if that's a mixture that's gonna sit well for me for a few hours.
It looked like a 3-year-old used Play-Doh and like presented it to their mom and was like, "Mom, look what I made. It's buffalo blueberry mac and cheese." And
he ate it for Easter dinner. It is a wild world we live. What do you say? A scary world? Maybe it is.
God, he is something else. Let me tell you. So yeah, my thoughts are. Ethan asks, "What is your favorite name for a pay-per-view for any promotion?"
Ooh, that's tough. I've always loved Ring of Honor Final Battle for the final pay-per-view of the year.
I love the name Double or Nothing. I think that's a great name for a pay-per-view.
I like that, and I also liked All In. Like that, that made a ton of sense. Yeah. They did the show in Vegas. Like I like themed shows as well, where they tie in the name. I always liked Bash at the Beach too.
Bash at the Beach was good. Halloween Havoc's great.
Yep. I'm a big fan of the themed shows. I kind of want to do more of those when we get back because it's fun. Like
my only problem with the theme shows, Randy, is that if you're going to do it, the match has to make sense for it. Like that's my one criticism. Like when WWE will do like a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, and then you're just having Hell in a Cell matches for feuds that don't necessarily need them.
Right. I definitely think that's done a little too much. Like I wouldn't change really the structure of the cards per se, but maybe the actual presentation of the show and like what we do for like extracurricular stuff, you know what I mean? Like just different ways to I don't know, make each event have its own vibe, feel different, feel fun, and maybe appeal to new people every time, because that's really what we always want to do is keep bringing people into this family.
Certainly. Michael G asks, where are the Thick Boys at? Will they return soon? Well, no one's returning soon right now.
Well, we actually did have plans before everything went haywire, that the Thick Boys were going to come back as a unit. And by unit, I mean John Silver, Jay Freddy, and Puff. Silver and Puff had their blow off in January. And that really we were supposed to kind of get through this Thick Boys quarrel like a lot sooner. But we just had a lot of date issues. And then John Silver, obviously his schedule's been picking up. He's been much more busy lately. So we really what was it? I think from May of last year up until January of this year, that was all supposed to be something that we could have gone through just the Vacation Land Cup with. So things definitely got pushed back pretty far, but I definitely want to get the Thick Boys back in the rotation once things are back to normal. That was a really fun, organic, limitless team that kind of came up within our first couple years that I think a lot of people gravitated to. And just a lot of fun, a fun dynamic between Jay Freddy and John Silver. It's two guys who I think really clicked as a tag team, and definitely something I want to do more with once the time is right.
Yeah, no doubt. John from Orlando wants to know, outside of Chris Hero, which of the recently released WWE talent would you like most to have on a Limitless show?
I knew you were going to ask this too. That's tough. I mean, does Fit Finley count?
I mean, I don't think he's wrestling, but
no, I would love to have Zack Ryder, to be perfectly honest.
Ryder would be great.
I'm a big Zack Ryder fan, and
I would love.
Think
I think Heath Slater would work perfectly in Limitless.
I think Heath would be fun. I'm interested to see what he hits the independents or wherever he goes, what he hits it doing. Like, what's the plan for Heath Slater as an independent
in my
talent?
opinion, he is so critically underrated. I've always thought he's a very good worker. He can talk. He's got the drawl, but that kind of is part of his personality.
I like that, but I feel, to be honest, like my drawback is being put on the spot with this question is I don't really know Heath Slater right now.
Right.
I don't know when the last time I saw Heath Slater wrestle consistently was. With Zack Ryder, I feel like I've followed him a little more, and I have that familiarity where I know what he's going to bring to the table, and I know that it's something that it would fit on a Limitless show. You know what I mean? Listen, it wouldn't feel out of place.
Those are all good answers. I have one answer, and I saw this on Twitter. I can't remember who said it, and I was thinking it too, and I'm glad they said it. I want to see the Dirty Daddy, Chris Dickinson, and Rusev just beat each other up in a main event.
That'd be fucking nuts, man. If Rusev is if he's sticking to the States, I want to get him to Limitless badly. God. But I have a feeling that he probably will not be doing many stateside bookings.
He and Minoru Suzuki would also be a hell of a match. So
I really hope he goes to Japan just for the possibilities, to be honest.
Yes, and I think he will. So we'll see what happens. Let's see. Greg asks, built off your tweet from the other day, what wrestler or personality have you both had the best fan and interaction with at a live show?
Ooh, that's tough. Jerry Lynn immediately comes to mind. There was an IWE show in 2009. I believe he's Ring of Honor champion at the time. Either that or he's just lost it. But IWE had a show they were promoting with Sanjay Dutt, so I was already fucking stoked. They opened doors, and Jerry Lynn was there unannounced, just sitting at the merch table. And I shit because I just, you don't expect that to happen ever. And I guess he had a show booked the same night in the state that was he was feeling, weird about, or they canceled one or the other, but he ended up doing a double shot that night with two promotions in the state. IWE was one of them. So we wrestled on the first half, and great interaction with him. Just he was just super taken aback that me and the group of friends that I was with were, stoked and knew who he was and that he was there. And he gave us, myself and a friend of mine, a free 8x10 because we didn't have the money to get him. And it was just a really rad experience with someone you just didn't expect to happen. And then it's just the raddest experience ever we got to stand there and talk with him for literally 20 minutes because, he wasn't super busy at the merch table that night. I honestly do think, it's kind of in that corner of Maine where they don't know a ton of independent wrestling outside of what they've seen live locally. So he wasn't hounded a ton that night and didn't have a problem with us just hanging out and shooting the shit.
That's awesome. I'll pick a Limitless one for the sake of the question. Paul London.
Paul was awesome.
Paul was the single nicest guy I've ever met in pro wrestling. He was so awesome. And his moment with AG after their match was so cool.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
From a professional standpoint too, I want to say PCO too.
Yes, PCO was my other one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, PCO was really awesome, and not just to me, but to the entire locker room.
Everyone.
Just watched everybody's match. Was there to give any advice or critiques if he had any for anyone. He had a ride lined up for him after the first half. He insisted that he wanted to stay and watch the entire show, and just was a very beneficial person to have in the locker room.
PCO and I watched a match together. He and I just sat and shot it during a match. I'm trying to remember which match it was. What match would that have been? Was Dickinson in a match on that show?
Dickinson wrestled PCO.
So it wasn't Dickinson then. So there was another Hoss match on that show that he and I watched, and we were just oh, awesome. He was great. Michael wants to know, are there still plans to run the Portland Expo this year? I mean, I think the answer to this, Randy, is right now everything is up in the air.
Yeah, everything's up in the air. And to be perfectly honest, it's probably not something attainable with the financial state of where we're going to be when we finally get back, because I have no idea how long that is. But, you just look ahead and you say, all right, if we come back here, this is what we can kind of plan to do. And it's just tough. It's just tough to gauge because we have really no answers on how quickly this is going to get solved. And I don't know if solved is the correct word, but like back to normal, I should say, because it's just nuts right now. But I think the plan, like when we do come back, I don't want to rush this. I want to come back at a point where it's safe for everybody to be attending shows, and to be able to come back strong monthly and not have to skip a beat from where we were. So I don't know how long that's going to take. And I don't know if jumping into something like the Portland Expo with one of the first couple shows back would be the right move, because I don't know if I just with someone who has it, on the line, I don't know if everyone's going to feel comfortable coming out to shows at that point.
Right.
Who knows?
And Caitlin's piggybacking off of that. How has the main state of emergency non-essential business shutdown affected Limitless?
As a whole, we've been kind of lucky because we do have other streams of revenue coming in. The fans have been fucking awesome, like supporting in this time. Like we've sold, I think over the past 30 days, we've probably sold more merch online than any month in the past year. We've been selling a ton of merch, ton of interaction as well on IWTV. A lot of people using the promo code, and that gives us direct kickback from IWTV, which helps. But we do have a couple streams of revenue that are keeping things flowing. And by keeping things flowing, like we've got the dojo that we still have to keep open, even though, I don't know when the fucking next time we're going to have classes is. And it's just, Let's Wrestle in the whole grand scheme of things is the thing affected the least, because that's something that's primarily, local people, and it's a smaller budget, and it's dojo students. So those shows can be pulled together a lot easier than Limitless shows, if that makes sense. There's a lot of moving parts for what we do when we come with these events. And it's just, kind of hoping that we can maintain everything as we move forward, and really hoping that this doesn't last a terribly long time.
It's all up in the air, folks. That's going to be the answer to a lot of these kinds of questions, unfortunately. Wish we could be a little more specific, but it's just hard to.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a ton of answers right now, and it's a bummer. But like, the light at the end of the tunnel is that Limitless Wrestling is going to be okay when this is over, and that's
great to hear.
That's truly because of the consistent fan support that we've had, whether it's been watching online, buying merchandise, attending the shows. It's all culminated to when something happens like this, a major world event, we can, sustain what we're doing and come back strong. And that honestly means the world, because not only myself, but a lot of people have dumped a lot of time and a lot of effort into, what we've been trying to move forward for 4 years.
Bradford the Barber wants to know, whenever wrestling can return, are we skipping straight to the VLC, or are we picking up where we left off?
That's a great question, but again, it's tough to gauge because it all depends on when we come back. There is a chance that we go right into the Vacation Land Cup, because I think that would be a lot of fun for people and a fresh way to come back with kind of an even playing field all around. So that's definitely something that's been discussed, but I think the big thing, the big hold off with that is, when will we come back? So I think once we have a better idea on that, we can kind of figure out how the show layout's going to go when things return.
Mikey wants to know, what do you think of the New Jack Dark Side of the Ring episode? Did you watch it, Randy?
Oh, I've watched every Dark Side of the Ring.
Okay.
I'm such a huge fan.
I'm not going to lie. I actually disliked this one quite a bit.
I mean, it wasn't comfortable to watch.
I did not like the portrayal of New Jack. I thought some things were glorified. I thought there were other things that should have been pushed harder and weren't. There's been a few episodes, and I really, generally speaking, think Dark Side of the Ring is excellent. But there were a couple that I just don't hit with me. That didn't hit with me. The Brawl for All episode didn't hit for me at all. And there's been one or two others that didn't. But on the converse of that, I thought the Benoit episode was chilling.
And have you seen the Snuka one yet?
So I haven't seen the Snuka one yet, but I've seen a lot of people talk about it, and the consensus seems to be it was pretty straightforward.
Yeah,
it seems to be a story that a lot of people don't know about, which is interesting to me.
Yeah, and I think that's what was cool about the New Jack episode, because honestly, like, I was surprised at the amount of people who didn't really realize the acts of New Jack, didn't really realize how deep this ran throughout his career. You know what I mean? Being a fucking crazy individual. So I think a lot of people were it seemed like shock and awe from a lot of people who watched it on my Twitter feed, at least. But I enjoyed the episode. I agree with you, though. The Brawl for All one, I truly didn't give a shit about that one. I wanted more Dr. Death, Steve Williams talk, and I didn't get that. So,
well, there's that. I mean, the best part about that was getting Draws for an interview, which was crazy.
That was cool. Do an episode for fucking Draws. So they should have split it in half.
But I guess my problem with that was they turned it into a Russo versus Cornette thing, which is also what the Montreal Screwjob episode was, which, it's just, It is.
It almost, to me, felt like they went into this topic for an hour-long episode, and they kind of realized there wasn't enough meat on the bone.
And you had Steve Blackman in there. They barely touched on Steve Blackman, who was a legitimate badass,
I think it would have been cool, honestly. And I'm no director or producer or anything like that, but I think it would have been cool to kind of showcase the directions of the people who were involved in this tournament. Like they did that with a few people, but only like 2 or 3. I think it would have been kind of cool to show that, like, honestly, a lot of these competitors who were in this didn't really have a huge career in WWE afterwards.
Now, have I ever shared my New Jack story on this podcast?
I have zero clue, but okay. I don't think so, because I haven't heard it.
So, Pro Wrestling Syndicate Supercard, Night 2, I want to say. 2013, WrestleMania 29 weekend in Jersey. They're running in Rahway. I covered this show. It was the first pro wrestling event I ever covered. And I had access to all the wrestlers, did interviews. It was awesome. I'm actually, have you seen the Iron Sheik documentary?
I have not.
At the very end, they have a shot of him coming out at that show, and you see me in it.
Oh, no shit.
Yes, you can go check that out. But that documentary is very good, by the way. So this is billed as New Jack's retirement show. As you are aware, New Jack retired probably about 15 times.
Yeah, I've been around for at least 3.
So I'm filming, and he's facing Necro Butcher. And the promoter just comes up to me and he's just like, listen, just keep a safe distance from the ring. And if anyone tries to come up to you, run. I'm like, okay. So New Jack comes out after Necro Butcher's in the ring. And, he comes out with his posse. And one of them just has a straight up just like ice pick. And they're just holding it like right in front of me.
That's
and I'm just
encouraging.
like, oh my God, what is about to happen? I am about to die. Like, I need to because New Jack, as we saw in the documentary, had a history of being a little reckless. And,
a little bit.
And insane. So they have this match. I mean, he legitimately stabs Necro Butcher in the face. And it is like a deep gash wound. Blood is like splurting everywhere. It's like I'm dodging blood as I'm filming this match. And then at the end of it, off the top rope, the video is online. You can look it up. I posted it, New Jack Retirement, PWS. New Jack takes a stretcher, like a gurney board, taped with light tubes, and goes off the top rope and smashes it through Necro Butcher's face.
Fuck.
It is one of the single most violent collisions I've ever seen in my life, let alone in a pro wrestling ring.
Wow.
And he wins. They get up. Necro Butcher is like missing half of his face. They hug. I'm just there shooting. All the wrestlers come out to the ring. Marty Jannetty is high out of his mind. Not on weed, for the record.
What a cast of characters.
And Marty Jannetty has got a flip phone that he's trying to take video of, and he's standing next to me. He's like, dude, let me hold your camera. I want to shoot this. I'm like, what? I was like, you're supposed to be the cool rocker. like what is going on here? And New Jack at the end, I did not post this because he grabbed my camera and kissed it with blood all over his face and rubbed my face with blood all over his hands. So
excellent.
That's my New Jack story. He didn't kill me. So that's good, I guess.
That's a plus.
Yes. It was terrifying. Let's see here. Mikey wants to know, is there an international talent on your bucket list that you would like to book on Limitless or almost had a chance to book?
I've got a few. Speedball Mike Bailey comes to mind immediately. He's out of Canada, and I think, honestly, one of the best talents that I've seen live just from an excitement point. I just insane to watch him wrestle. And if anybody hasn't seen him, look him up. But he wrestles in the same region as like Tabernacle Team, Bucks Belmar. He unfortunately had a U.S. ban for a little while that I think actually comes up either this year or the beginning of next. So he may be someone who we can actually realistically get. Also, Tajiri is someone who we actually had a contact for at one point. And it didn't end up working out because that's something that you have to get a couple promoters on board to make that feasible for everyone and have it make sense. And Doug Williams is another guy who just before his retirement tour, we tried to get him. I think that was like early 2017 with a couple other promotions, and it just didn't work out. But those are three that I can think of.
This is going to sound super random, but one guy I always thought would be a good fit with Limitless, and it's kind of hard right now, but Ligero.
Yeah, that would be tight, actually.
Ligero would be a really good fit for Limitless.
And he's kind of in the U.S. a little more now, but I think it's strictly for WWE.
Yeah, so.
But who knows?
It's just an interesting one that I thought of. Let's see here. Ryan wants to know, are we going to have an Alba Star Search this year? Well, I mean, one, again, all subject to change based on what shows are running. But two, that's up to Randy Carver. I'm always looking for talent.
We should do a promo competition.
Yeah?
Why not? What else are we doing?
I would love to have a promo off.
And oh man, I know you'd get some submissions.
How
from the
good
dojo.
was my line, by the way, in that episode about survival of the fittest, and not even Darwin could keep up? Come on,
that was a hard eye roll from me.
That was one take, baby. Well, Kevin follows up on that. If John could select any current Limitless roster member to manage for an extended period of time, who would it be?
Can I guess who you're gonna say?
Go ahead.
I think it's one of two people.
Okay.
My second guess, which I don't think is correct, is the prize Alec Price.
I mean, he would have to apologize for destroying my neck, but I definitely would manage him.
I don't think he's a manager kind of guy.
No,
though.
He doesn't listen. He doesn't listen.
Yeah. My guess would be the dark horse, DL Hurst.
DL Hurst, I would absolutely love to manage. No doubt about that. I would say it's between DL Hurst and Christian Casanova.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Christian Casanova and I would be a very good pairing. And he's a big fan of the Emmy too, by the way. So
yeah.
Actually, the Dirty Daddy and I would be a fantastic pairing.
Yeah,
that would be incredibly entertaining.
Drooling over your Emmy the entire time. That would be
incredibly entertaining. No, I think DL Hurst and Christian Casanova would be. I mean, my heart is loyal to Mac Daniels, but I think Christian Casanova and Mac Daniels would be a great tag team.
Well, yeah, you're pushing your boy to get in big positions.
I'm just saying. I'm just throwing some stuff out there. I know Christian Casanova's attitude has changed a little bit lately, but I don't know. I think he has so much it, man, and I think he has everything to be a big star in pro wrestling.
I don't disagree at all. I think Christian's, especially when things get rolling again, I know he's staying focused and motivated right now, and I think when things get rolling again, I think it's only a matter of time before you're seeing him in some of the biggest places you can watch pro wrestling.
And how cool has it been to see Austin Theory get a prominent spot on Raw?
Very cool. Very unexpected, but very cool nonetheless. I'm happy for him. And
I have been told he has some fans in some very high places there. And
I'm sure he does. I'm sure he does.
And your boy Stokely too.
Stokes, yes. I didn't know he was debuting the night that he debuted, and I was watching NXT Live, and big pop from me. I had no idea, and I feel like he's been kind of tossed around a little bit between some people, and now he's hopefully got a good fit here with this tag team. One of them used to be a fucking MLB pitcher, I read, for the Pittsburgh Pirates or something.
No, he's there's a lot of crazy talent over there. I know AJ Francis over there used to play for the Bucks. There's some really, really talented individuals there that I think Stokely would be a great fit for. So, okay, Who would you like to see me manage? I mean, I know you wouldn't like to see me end it, period, but if you had to.
Well, as much as I hate to admit it, the pairing of you and Mac Daniels
it's a great act.
It's good stuff. if I'm thinking like grand scheme of Limitless Wrestling right now, I actually think you with Russian Dynamite Masha Slamovich would be pretty cool.
Okay. I could get down with that.
She's someone who really handles her business in the ring, and I think, you've got kind of the gift of gab. At least you run your mouth and believe it. So I think that would be a very fun pairing.
I definitely don't lack confidence.
No, certainly not.
That was the best piece of advice I ever got in a pro wrestling locker room, by the way. Just exude confidence, and I definitely think I do.
I think so as well.
But you said Mac Daniels and I are a good team, man. It's because it's authentic. It's real. There is. I truly believe in Mac Daniels as much as anyone, and more than anyone, including yourself and Eric Greenleaf, for the record.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I don't think we have much more. I think we're beginning to wrap up here. Let's see. Okay, yeah, here's our last question here, and it comes from Jessica. She wants to know, who do you want to debut for Limitless on the first show back?
Good question. Eric Stevens is someone who I'd like to get to Limitless very soon. We have been in talks somewhat lately as he announced that once things come back, he is not retiring. A lot of people know who are tuned in that he had plans to retire WrestleMania weekend. And his retirement match was actually going to be against Chris Dickinson in his hometown of Tampa, Florida. And, in the matter of a week or so, all those last matches that he was planning to have and all these various promotions, I think he had 5 or 6 scheduled for the weekend, were gone. And his retirement weekend was gone. And after a few days, he decided, I'm going to run this till the wheels fall off. And I'm stoked to hear that, because we had a lot of stuff booked in advance when he, was kind of wrapping things up. And we just couldn't really get any dates worked out that were going to make sense for both of us. So I'm happy that we have the chance to do that now. I would also like to get someone who was supposed to debut. This is breaking news. Nick Gage was going to debut at WrestleProm, and he was going to actually enter the WrestleProm tag team tournament alongside Chris Statlander. Would have been a lot of fun. Unfortunately, did not happen, but I've already spoken with Nick since we had to postpone. He is ready to come back for WrestleProm. He said, "Fuck yeah, WrestleProm MDK" was the text. So he'll be ready to go once things are back to normal as well. So those are 2 people off the top of my head that I not only want to debut, but I think will debut very soon once we get going.
Oh, I was so bummed about that. You kind of teased Nick Gage a couple months ago on this show, and
I did. Not a lot of people picked up on it, but I did get a couple messages of people who were wound up for it. But that was going to be the debut.
Yeah, that's a bummer. I'll say this, and I know there aren't any plans to bring said person in, but I would kill to see Aaron Stevens, the former Damian Sandow, in a Limitless ring.
Really? I actually have a connection to get him, so that would be...
I think that guy is like the single most entertaining person I've ever seen in a pro wrestling ring.
I watched a lot of the early stuff that he did on NWA Power. That was a lot of fun.
He was changing his gimmick every week. It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. And I mean, his stuff, he was so underappreciated with the Sandow character.
I don't disagree.
He rocked it.
Danger Kid and I were actually watching, I don't remember what show, but we were watching a SmackDown pay-per-view from like 2006, and he had no idea about Idol Stevens whatsoever.
Really?
And so we were watching, it was Kendrick in London versus Idol Stevens and Casey James for the tag titles. And I just asked him because I didn't know until someone told me. And I'm like, hey, do you know either of these two? And he's like, no. And I'm like, well, look closely at Idol Stevens, and he had no idea. I'm like, that's Damian Sandow. He's like, what? And it's funny because that's one that I think gets a lot of people. I don't think a lot of people realized he was there for like, I don't know what, a couple years at OVW.
Mm-hmm. He had 2 runs. Yeah. I think he was one of the most underappreciated performers of his generation, and I was at Money in the Bank when he won it. And that place went nuts for him winning.
He had just a couple different points of that career that he was over like Rover.
Yeah.
Like it's just kind of crazy that sometimes when you have talent, I look at like a Rusev and a Zack Ryder. I think they're in kind of the same boat where they had stints of being, some of the most over people in the company. No joke. Like people, I remember I saw the video this week of when The Rock was making his return, doing a promo, and people were chanting, "We want Ryder." Like, what the fuck? Like, how do you just miss the boat there? You know what I mean?
Well, I think Cody is the shining example of that, where Cody could have had the trigger pulled a couple times. They didn't see it. He went out, made himself a star. I think several of those guys that you've talked about that were released could become big stars.
I think they will. And I'm fucking like, it's bittersweet because I'm bummed that these people are losing their dream jobs, and not only that, their income in such an uncertain time very soon when wrestling doesn't really seem to be on the horizon for these folks yet. But it's going to be good for a lot of people who have been really just feeling held down and feeling like they have more to give and want to wrestle on shows that mean something, or maybe want to wrestle more than once every blue moon. So I'm happy for those, like a Deonna Purrazzo, for instance, who kind of voiced her opinion. You sent it to me, actually, of she had wanted out of there for a while, and I think it's the frustration of just kind of having nothing there. And they've been kind of oversaturated lately, and a lot of people are kind of sitting there, twiddling their thumbs, not doing anything when they're, they've got some of the most talented professional wrestlers in the world sometimes sitting on the bench.
Yeah, I had a interesting week with the WWE realm.
I'm sure you did.
Yeah, it was interesting. It's not often the governor of Florida calls you baloney, but hey, here we are.
Wow.
With Paul Rudd saying that Hot Wings challenge, hey, who would have thought? Not me. That's where we are. Look at us. Who would have thought? Not me. That's what happened this past week. But yeah, we love when you guys ask questions. Hashtag Ask Limitless. Always a lot of fun. And we hope that when we do our next one, you will ask questions again. And we will answer them to the best of our abilities and entertain you guys for 45 minutes to an hour. Because right now, that's what we need. We need some entertainment in this world. Randy, anything else cooking on your mind?
Next week, this is breaking news to you as well. And
okay.
We're going to have Anthony Green back on the Limitless Wrestling Podcast, the Limitless Wrestling World Champion. So if you've got any questions for Retro AG, we'll have a post up there for you. We may even get All That Ava Everett on the podcast as well. I may make a couple calls, see if we can get that lined up. But yeah, Anthony Green, next week's podcast, and maybe we'll get this Alba Star Search promo competition rolling as well.
I think that would be fantastic.
I think it'd be a lot of fun and something that a lot of people can participate in. And one more thing as well, Pandemic at the Dojo, Episode 4, streaming on independentwrestling.tv this Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. If you don't have an account, use the promo code LIMITLESS. You get a 5-day free trial, and you can watch the show for free, as well as all previous episodes. And as always, they will be going on youtube.com/Limitless Wrestling for free throughout the week. And just thank you for supporting continuously. I know I say it every week, but it means more than ever right now to continuously have the support and just nice messages and people just staying in touch. It's cool to see. So thank you for that.
You want to give a quick shout out to the logo as well?
Yes, a new Limitless Wrestling Podcast logo coming from Jason Alexander, Fogbreaker Studios.
Not George Costanza.
No. Oh, no, not George Costanza. Unfortunately, he passed up doing the design, but my boy Jason was right there to do it. Sick stuff should be in the podcast feed pretty soon, and maybe we'll get some merchandise flowing for this.
Cool stuff. Thank you for that. Thank you for listening. We will see you next time.